wanted you to do this is because I want you to be able to look at these, and I want you to be able to, you know, we come into client's home, you have your plan of care, thank you. You have your plan of care, you have your tasks that you need to get done for your client. You come with your agenda of things that you have to do, right? But especially with our dementia care clients, it's really difficult to come into someone's home and have that agenda and be working off of that without knowing a little bit about your client as far as what their routines are and what their likes and dislikes are. So part of what I wanted you guys to do was write these things down with your 5 senses, because I want, you know, we talk about a little bit about how you shouldn't be smoking or wearing scents when you're working with clients, but these are some of the things. Every one of you probably has different answers for these, right? But when we come into someone's home and we make them meals, or we use different types of soaps on them, or we speak to them in a different tone, we're doing that without knowing anything about this person. We're doing it from what our likes and dislikes are, right? So what I want you guys to kind of grasp by doing this is to think about what each of your lists looks like. And maybe we can just go around the room and say one thing off your list that you absolutely dislike, that you would not like to happen to you if you were being cared for. Because what I want you to start thinking about when you walk into someone's homes, I want you to not come at it from your perspective, but to look at the things that we've written up based on what we've gathered from the client and try to pull information from that and base your care based on that, instead of, okay, this is what I need to get done for the day. Maybe you have a shower down, and you know, how many of you shower in the morning? Probably the majority of you, right? Because you go to work for the day. But we have some clients who like to bathe in the evening. So if you come there in the morning and you have your list of things that you have to do and you're trying to get it done, and you try to get them to shower in the morning and they're like, no, I'm not showering. And you're like, what is it? Why can't I get this person to do what I want them to do? Well, it could be something very simple. Their routine and the way they have done this their whole life is that they shower right before they go to bed. So you need to start thinking about those things before you work with clients. We had one client that I love to tell the story of her, because she's a good example of how you have to think outside of the box and try to get on your client's page instead of being on your own. And she would not get in the bath. It took us a couple of weeks to figure out how it was that we were going to get her to shower every day. And so one of the things that we came up with, she loved her grandchildren. She had always been a caretaker for her children and for her grandchildren. That's what she did. She was into the neighborhood kids. So what we did is we got her a baby doll. And when we wanted her to shower, we said, it's time for the baby to take a shower. And it worked every single time. And it's one of those things that's like, oh my God, it's genius, but it's so basic. And so for some of your clients, you know, it might be something like saying, today's spa day. Let's go get in the spa. I've got your favorite smelling soap. I know that you love lavender, so I've got that for you. The shower is warm. I have this really soft towel. Maybe you know that there's somebody who's constantly feeling for textures and checking stuff out in that way. They're using those senses. So you just have to think outside of the box in order to deal with them and what works best for them, instead of coming at it like, you know, we need to shower. This is what we need to get done. Now we're going to eat. You know, this is what's going to happen. So why don't we just go around the room and just mention briefly what your like worst scent, taste, touch, smell, what really irritates you.
I would say sight is like fights and arguments.
Okay.
The smell, smoke, taste, I just put Brussels sprouts and beets.
Okay, so go ahead and stop right there. So imagine you're caring for a client and you just had a cigarette and you're getting up close to them and bathing them, and they also don't like the scent of smoke. What are you going to get from that client, do you think? If they're not able to verbalize, I really don't like that smell, what do you think is going to happen with that client? How do you think?
Refusing to take a bath.
Or not wanting a different person.
Right, but they probably don't know how to tell you that, so instead they're not going to like you.
Right.
And you're not going to know why they don't like you,
Right.
and they're not going to know why they don't like you, or they know why, but they are not going to be able to vocalize why they don't like you. Or you're going to get somebody who gets agitated.
Yep.
You know, they hear one of those sounds that you're talking about. Maybe there's a jackhammer going off in the backyard, and your client is really agitated that day, and you can't figure out what's going on. But you figure out, oh, you know, my mom is very sensitive to sounds. She does not like loud noises. She never has. She hated vacuuming the house because of the noise. That's really important to know. That's something, maybe you need to get that person out of the house for the day while that's happening.
Yep.
So, okay, let's go ahead and continue.
Okay, for
Touch, bugs. For taste, I couldn't really think of anything. Smell, I really dislike the smell of smoke. And for sight, I have wounds and feces.
Okay, well, you better wrap your head around those two.
Yeah.
So, you know, for some of those are natural for a lot of people, but smoking was another one of yours, so that's a good thing to mention. And you know, I tell you guys, you should not be wearing perfumes and scents. You never know what people are going to dislike that you have on. Okay, next.
For a sound, like scratching on chalkboard or something like that.
Okay.
Touch, not really a cat person. Taste, I don't like the taste of beer.
Okay, so let's stop at taste because we haven't talked about taste yet. So let's consider making meals for our clients. And if we're not given direction, if you guys get a plan of care and it just has that you're making breakfast, lunch, and dinner for them, and they're not able to come up with a grocery list for you, that doesn't do very well for you. You have no idea what this person's likes or dislikes are, right? So that's why it's really important to gather that information from family members. And if we haven't been able to get that for you, as you get to know that person and you get to know their family members, that might trickle into you as well. So it's really important to gain something as minor, it seems, as what's their favorite food or what do they really dislike. Because maybe they don't want to eat for those reasons.
Right.
Maybe you're having a difficult time at mealtime because they eat at a totally different time of day. So you need to take all that into consideration.
Now, do you guys have menus per se for clients? Not really?
So that's on a case-by-case basis. Occasionally we do have menus for people, but generally not, because you know their diet, what they want from day to day changes.
Okay.
Unless if they're on a diabetic diet and you need help with some diabetic recipes and things like that, we do provide you with things like that. Same thing, low sodium and things like that. We do have some family members who are very thorough about keeping track of what their parents or family members eat, and they'll be able to provide us with a lot of good information. But it's okay to come up with a plan and just verify that it's something that your client actually likes. Okay, next.
Oh, mine is just blue. It's a smell. I don't like this tobacco smell.
Okay.
Because I try to work with the client, and then I go sick, and I went to the doctor and said, no, you're gonna.
It's just
No
irritating to
cancer.
you.
But
Yeah.
So, and the other one is touch, and is that when I approach a male client, I don't have any problem cleaning him. But the thing is that because I am so approachable, like touching, he feels like he had the right to touch me too. So that's not normal.
No.
So
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and that is going to happen, and you just have to figure out how to redirect, right? If you're working with somebody with dementia and you're bathing them, they kind of like, for them, it's like, oh, what's going on here? This is some good stuff. So you have to redirect them and let them know, and maybe have them bathe themselves if it's something that you think is causing them to want to touch you for some reason, because you're getting in their personal space. Yeah. Okay. Next.
For me, sides all kind of abuse. I don't like to see all kind of abuse and fight. For smell, smoke and cigarette. For taste, I don't like pork. I
Okay.
cannot. For sound, yelling.
Okay. So fighting you had brought up also, and the yelling. So imagine for our dementia clients, I talked about TV and how you don't, news I think is never good. I hate to have the news on in clients' homes. I don't watch it myself. I read things, but I don't like to have the news on. It focuses on the negative. So same thing if you're watching TV shows with your clients, two of you here have mentioned, any kind of aggressive behavior or yelling or violence really bothers you. Imagine what that feels like for some of our clients with Alzheimer's disease, who, they're in their own reality. And when they're seeing that on the TV, to them it's very real. So, it's something important to consider when you have a TV show on or when there's something going on. Even if, if you're in a facility and somebody is having a heated debate and you have a client who's starting to become agitated, take a look around. What's happening with their five senses at that moment? What is happening in the current situation that you're in? And is there an environment that you can move to that might modify that situation? Okay, Terrell.
For sight, I got just abuse, whether it be child, woman, elder neglect, the smell, loud perfume, smoke, taste, hot dogs. Hot dogs.
Okay.
Am I good for you?
Yeah, sounds, I just don't like any kind of yelling.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, a lot of you have the same answer. Okay, go ahead.
For sight, too much blood. For smell, I hate the smell of mold. I had a client who had mold grown in his house in the attic, and it just bothered me. Taste, cottage cheese, I think is disgusting. And touch, I hate rough fabrics. I like soft stuff.
Okay, and we'll stop right there with that one, because that is something that we haven't talked about before, but something that you guys might not even think about when you're getting somebody dressed. I mean, clearly you're pulling it out of their own closet, right? So you're just automatically gonna assume that they wanna wear it. But people change over time, things happen, and sometimes they get sensitive to things.
Sensitive and
You know, they don't like that wool sweater that they liked anymore, or they have to have a t-shirt on underneath it to protect them, and you might not even know why. They keep trying to rip their sweater off. You know, keep your sweater on. Please keep your sweater on. You know, we're downstairs in the lobby right now. This is not the place to do that. You can't tell them not to do it. How many of you have had an argument with somebody with dementia? You're not ever going to win. So you need to figure out where they're coming from. Okay, they keep trying to get out of the chair. They keep trying to take their clothes off. What is it that I need to do for them so that they don't feel like they have to do that? Maybe they need to get up and go for a walk. Maybe that's why they keep trying to get out of the chair. And you keep telling them, wait, you're not supposed to get out of the chair without me. The reason why they need to get out of the chair is to go use the restroom. Or maybe it's that their clothing is bothering them, that they keep trying to take their clothing off. Sometimes you need to put socks on inside out, so the little nubby part is on the outside of the socks. Little things that you kind of need to be proactive about and think about. Sometimes I know people put clothing on backwards so that clients can't get out of it. Just make sure that it's something that's comfortable for them before you're doing that. Don't assume that it's because they just like to take their clothes off. Maybe they're hot, maybe it's irritating to them. So that's a good one.
I don't like really seeing like sad people, you know, like kind of sad. A smell, like I know a lot of people said smoke. I said smoke as well, but I put like body odor, bad breath.
So that's a good one for us to be cognizant of too. Because we're in people's homes. It's not like we can go brush our teeth after we eat every moment. So, you know, have mints on you, turn away from them, all that kind of stuff. Okay.
Raisins, I can't stand a raisin taste like raisins. No.
Okay.
No way. And then like touch like cold objects, touching my body. You know what I mean?
And I think, so that brings up a good point, because I think with bathing, I mean, our dementia clients, bathing is an issue. You know, it's kind of standard for us to have issues with bathing with our dementia clients. That's where being cold comes into consideration. I think, you know, probably 80% of our clients with dementia, they don't like to bathe because they don't want to take their clothes off because it's cold. And then they get out of the shower, it's cold. So when I say things like, you know, today's spa day, and I always say like, you know, I've got your towel ready for you, the shower's nice and warm, it's gonna feel so good. You know, make sure that you know that you are coming prepared. You have everything that they need, and kind of prepare for any situation that should come up. Okay. All right, so the next thing we're gonna talk about, and we're talking about dementia a little bit. I like to break this off from the orientation because we do have a lot of clients with dementia and Alzheimer's disease. A lot of these things pertain to everybody. What we just talked about really pertains to everybody that we care for, not just our dementia clients. So it's good to take into consideration. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is how we approach clients. And this is really interesting for me. You know, you're in people's homes, so it's different when you walk into their home. You're in their own space. If it's somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's, it's a different way to approach people that makes them feel safe. You need to, you know, like I said, you come with your own agenda and your tasks of things that you need to get done. Before you get to the person's home, before you walk in the door and just start picking up and doing stuff, you need to get them to trust you first. And a good way to get them to trust you is your introduction. It's how you approach them when you first walk in the door, because that's going to set the tone for your entire day. You might have somebody who, you know, you're in a facility and they're talking about somebody who they've dealt with before who they don't like, or they're saying, you know, they stole something from me. It could be because their first encounter with that person was not a good one. They don't even know why they don't like that person. They just know that they rushed me through my breakfast, or they took my tray away. They don't know how to vocalize those things, but they keep telling you, I don't like that person. They're out to get me. They did something to me. And you're like, no, they didn't. They didn't do anything to you. Nobody stole anything from you. But you don't wanna argue with them. You just wanna be with them where they are, repeat what they say to you, you know, I understand that you don't like them, you know, tell me more about that. And then try to redirect and get them away from that. And chances are there's a pretty good reason why they feel that way toward that person. It could have been based on something that happened before. So, the way that you come in and greet the client is really important. How many of you have heard of Tipa Snow? Okay, I'll send you guys some good videos. So we have some training in here in the office that's available. This is just a portion of the training, but she does something called a positive approach that is so basic, and when you learn it, you think, oh my God, of course this is how I'm gonna greet somebody and how this works better for our dementia clients and anybody that we're working with, really. But it takes some work and it takes some getting used to. You do have to practice it with every client that you have and remember how to do it every time, because none of us is in the habit of approaching people this way. So it's called positive approach, and what you wanna do, and Shad, I'm gonna have you just scoot your chair over here, because you're gonna be my person that I'm using. So you ready?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So when you're walking into somebody's room, whether it's in a facility or in someone's home, you don't wanna rush in and just start doing for them something for them. If they're sleeping, you don't wanna rush up to them and start tapping them and it's time to wake up. You know, it's time to wake up. You have to get them up. It's time to eat breakfast or whatever, but you need to figure out how to do it in a calm manner that's not gonna set them off for the day. Nobody wants them to walk in, especially my 12-year-old who doesn't wanna go to school in the morning, and be poked and prodded to get out of bed. You know, neither do our clients. They wanna be approached slowly and calmly. So when you're walking into a room, what you're gonna do is, right when you walk into that room, you're gonna start saying the person's name and you're gonna greet them so that you give them an opportunity to process what's happening and the situation. So what I'm gonna say is, hey Shad, how are you? It's nice to see you today.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? How was your evening?
Okay.
Good. So it's time for breakfast and I was wondering if you wanted to head down to the cafeteria with me.
Okay.
All right, let's head down.
I would say what they're having first.
So you want to maintain eye contact with your client. You want to allow them to look at you straight on, but you want to be slightly off to the side. You can sit down.
Okay.
You want to be slightly off to the side. So you want to come at them from center. They have binocular vision, so they're looking at you like this. So put those up and look around the room for a minute and see what that feels like for you to have binocular vision.
Is there certain, well, you grab my hand a certain way, like the, but
Yeah.
is that like some type of way that you like to hold their hand when you're pulling them up?
So, well, you're not pulling anybody
not
up.
pulling,
I mean, we can
but
talk about
assisting.
transfers, but there's a part of your palm here, it's a pressure point for people. It's a calming pressure point. So when you do that, when you're reaching out for somebody and you're turning and you're kind of grabbing them this way, it's a calming, it's a way to
Okay.
calmly approach them and hold their hand.
I noticed that, I was just wondering.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead and do the binocular vision and just feel what that feels like. I know, it's embarrassing to do it anyway. I had to do it, you have to do it. So binocular vision, I mean, imagine walking around like that. Imagine somebody coming up to you, go ahead and do it right now. Do the binocular vision. Okay, don't look at me, go this way. And imagine somebody coming up to you and, hey, how are you? Yeah, I mean, it's gonna set you off guard. The other thing that she talks about, which I need to get a handle on myself, because I tend to, hey, how are you? Horrible. You don't ever want to do that. You want to talk in a nice low tone. Nobody likes to be condescending. Nobody likes to be talked down to. Nobody likes a high, shrill voice. So you have to speak calmly and slowly and clearly and in a low tone. I need to work on that myself. And you can see it takes practice. So do you have any questions about anything that we've talked about? No? Okay. So have any of you, in your own working with clients, do you see any of this being helpful? Can you see some of this working well? Do you think it's helpful for you?
It's actually more knowledge.
Yeah.
And it helps more because I've worked with all kind of clients, but there's certain things that I was doing that I wasn't supposed to do that. I know now that is not okay, and other companies didn't tell me these things. So
Yeah. So I think, I mean, it's a constant learning process. And you guys can always reach out to me here at the office. Like I said, we do the dementia training in here in the office. And there's a lot more detail to it. There's a lot involved, and it's a process that we're always going to be learning. We're never going to be